Today on Investigate TV Plus, men's and women's vulnerability exploited when all they sought was self-care.
It was hard. This other man groping me, and I did nothing to stop it.
We take an in-depth look at sexual misconduct by massage therapists, why legal experts say the crime is often underreported, and
I really think laws need to change. I think accountability needs to be up there.
hear from a survivor calling for solutions to improve safety.
Then, the final shift.
Nurse Cindy Gilbert, please report to duty. Nurse Cindy Gilbert, please report for duty.
Nurses dedicate their lives to healing, and when one passes, her devotion is not forgotten.
In good times and bad, without judgment, she was there.
We show you how her peers embrace tradition to honor a life of service.
And a zest for business. Best friends are inspired to squeeze the day by capitalizing on a summertime staple.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus. Relaxing, calming, soothing. That's what many of us expect a massage to feel like. Unfortunately, getting a massage is not risk-free. For some, their quest for stress relief became an inescapable pain when they were sexually assaulted by a person they trusted. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Assaults during massages have made headlines a number of times in recent years, but despite the media attention, some experts we spoke to say the issue is still underreported and more needs to be done to protect people.
Psychologists say that's most likely because sexual assault is one of the most shame-inducing traumas a person can experience, so the victim may feel uncomfortable coming forward. The victim may also be in shock or suffering a form of post-traumatic stress disorder. There can also be a fear of not being believed.
Reporter Kristen Crowley sat down with a survivor and learned a troubling truth in the relaxation business. We do want to warn you, this story contains a description of a sexual assault that might be difficult for some viewers.
I'd been getting regular massages for 5-6 years.
In all those years, Heather never thought twice about getting massages. That's because they weren't just for relaxation. They were necessary for her lymphedema, a condition that leads to swelling.
Matter of fact, the location, I ventured there 3 or 4 times a year.
As a return client, she regularly did walk-ins with different people who gave her massages. When a male worker she didn't recognize took her to a room, she never imagined what would happen next.
He was massaging my leg. He was coming up very high on my thigh, which is unusual. And I thought, maybe there's something because maybe he's pushing harder with my leg, with my lymphedema. He started massaging my stomach and grabbed my nipples and twisted them. And I sat up and was like, no, eek, no. And he pushed me back down and was like, you're okay. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. And he covered me up and said, we're done.
Heather says she was in shock. Then came the shame.
So I got home, and then the realization, I have to tell my husband. Then he got home, and I was on the back deck on my 4th drink because I was so ashamed. It was hard because this other man groping me, and I did nothing to stop it.
But she didn't want the man to get away with it, so she filed a police report and called an attorney, Jill Kanatsar, who says Heather is not alone, as cases like hers have ramped up the last decade.
Back in the 90s and early 2000s, I don't think I handled a single one. And so it wasn't until about 2015 that I started to get calls on these types of cases. And that has increased since that time.
The problem spans nationwide. Since 2019, 905 massage therapists were reported for sexual misconduct and disciplined as a result. That's according to the National Practitioner Data Bank. But there's a problem with this data. It doesn't account for unlicensed therapists. Kanatsar, who is based in Kansas City, says she alone has had 4 clients this year. But the databank records for those reported for sexual misconduct in Missouri, only 1. Knatzar says all but one case she's handled related to massage sexual assaults involved people without a license. And that brings us back to Heather's case. The man she accused of assault was unlicensed.
They had no W-2 on him, which means no social security number. They had no first and last name. They only had part of a name.
There was no way of finding out who this was.
No.
The Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards says only 2 states do not require a license for massage therapists, California and Vermont. But if a massage therapist is caught practicing without a license in a state where it is required, Knatzar says there's not much at risk for them.
It's not a crime to give a massage without a license.
So if I am practicing massages with a licensed business, could I get in trouble for that? And if I don't have a license myself?
You can get that license revoked from the facility.
Because of a settlement agreement, Knatzar can't name the facility in Heather's case, but she says it was shut down. As for the man accused of the assault,
Once that report was made, he got on a bus and he left the area. And
No idea where he went?
No idea where he went. So it would not shock me that he is somewhere in some other metropolitan community and he is continuing to perpetrate.
I'm more mad at the owner and the business. They put profit over their customers' safety.
and that's why they're both calling for more accountability.
Often when people go in for a massage, you are disrobing, you're under a sheet or a blanket, and so you're very vulnerable. And
Michigan Representative Julie Rogers knows just how much damage a trusted professional who abuses their power can inflict. She helped craft legislation in the wake of the Larry Nassar scandal, the Michigan State University sports doctor who sexually abused hundreds of people in his care. Rogers says some of the laws passed to prevent abuse like that in the future included penalties for others who failed to report misconduct. She thinks something similar could work for massage businesses and wants to look at drafting possible legislation. But she warns it would not be a quick fix.
there are legislative fixes, but they're very long-term and may take years.
For the clients you've represented, could there have been anything done that would have protected them, that would have prevented that assault from happening in the first place?
Absolutely. Massage facilities should not hire unlicensed masseuses. There's training, there's background checks, that the facility can do to eliminate the risk.
In your experience, were background checks done on the people that your clients accused of the assaults?
Never. Never.
Today, Heather still gets massages, but only from one person, a woman she knows and trusts. While she can't change what happened to her, she hopes her story can change the outcome for others.
I really think laws need to change. I think accountability needs to be up there with it, and women need to understand that it is not okay that this has happened.
Knatzar says increased resources for state licensing boards to make sure there are random checks at massage businesses, similar to what we see with health inspectors, could help solve this issue. But funding to make that happen would likely need lawmaker approval. Now, Heather's case settled out of court, but during the investigation, Knatzar says another woman came forward saying she was assaulted at the very same facility. That facility was shut down 9 months after Heather filed her complaint.
There are steps you can take to be your own best advocate before and during a massage.
Make sure you check for a licensed massage therapist. You can also check for a business license with the state licensing board. And if you ever feel uncomfortable, it's okay to speak up and leave. You can report misconduct to the state licensing board or health department, as well as police. Still to come, saluting service.
In good times and bad, without judgment, she was there.
A final offer of compassion to a woman who spent a lifetime offering comfort to those in need. We introduce you to a group of volunteers bringing tradition and tribute to nurses who have passed.
Then, a labor of love. Each delicate brushstroke transforms a historic mural from faded to fabulous. We explore the art of restoration.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
The Honor Guard is the face of the armed services at events. Perhaps the most significant event is the somber rite of a veteran receiving a military funeral. This sacred ceremony pays tribute to service and sacrifice. This type of ceremony is also very common at the funerals of former police officers and firefighters.
But what you may not know is that Honor Guard ceremonies are becoming more common for another group of frontline workers. Reporter Meredith Anderson provides insight into a group of volunteers giving these everyday heroes their own solemn send-off.
Any other weekend in dog country,
representing Roll Tide.
this would be considered a rivalry. Instead, it's reverence, even if Bama did become the butt of more than a few jokes. But on this Georgia weekend, under the watchful eye of Nick Saban,
Okay, for today, we will accept it.
grief dressed itself in Cindy Gilbert's instructions. No funeral. She wanted a party, a celebration of her life dedicated to love, loving her family, her friends, her team, her community, and her cats.
Nursing is a calling, a lifestyle, a way of living.
Cindy also loved her patients. She was a nurse for 44 years.
In good times and bad, without judgment, she was there.
Her family had never heard of the Nurse Honor Guard until the local chapter reached out, asking to pay tribute to her service and doing one final roll call.
Nurse Cindy Gilbert, please report to duty. Nurse Cindy Gilbert, please report for duty. Nurse Cindy Gilbert, please report for duty. Nurse Cindy Gilbert, we officially release you from your nursing duties. Your nursing colleagues will take it from here. You may be seated.
A poignant pause from the laughter Cindy's daughter Robin wasn't expecting when they asked the nurses in the room to stand.
Oh wait, that's me too. So I stood up, and just that swell of pride and joy, knowing that she instilled that in me.
It's a beautiful moment. And how can that not touch your soul?
It's why Brandy Seraphin started a local chapter of the Georgia Nurse Honor Guard back in 2021, with Beverly DeSalis as her right-hand woman. The Live Oak chapter covers 6 counties, and tributes aren't just for funerals.
I've always heard of giving somebody their flowers while they're here. My grandmother used to say, love is an action word, so you do it now.
They perform legacy tributes to nurses in hospice care, and the Honor Guard even surprised Beverly when she retired.
And I still get choked up thinking about that. It was wonderful.
Both Beverly and Brandy were also recognized just this past spring, alongside volunteers from other chapters across the state, as Governor Brian Kemp declared May 12th Georgia Nurse Honor Guard Day, a special day for a special group.
Yeah, it's an amazing gift.
That provides this priceless service at no cost.
We will always know, without a doubt, how much she loved us.
And without a doubt, Cindy's family knows she would have loved the Nurse Honor Guard's tribute, too.
The Kansas State Nurses Association developed the Nightingale Tribute in 2003, and more than 220 chapters across the country provide the ceremony when invited.
You can contact local funeral homes to find out if they work with a Nurse Honor Guard.
Still ahead, besties, business, and big dreams.
She's always been this little entrepreneur, making bracelets, just all these little things to try to earn money.
We reveal how homemade baubles and pitchers of lemonade inspired a couple of young ladies to achieve their dreams.
But first, preserving history.
The entire restoration takes 5 weeks.
With painstaking detail.
The cleaning is what takes the longest time.
We explore how careful cleaning and delicate touches of color brought new life to a rare mural.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
From ancient masterpieces to modern icons, paintings need exquisite care to keep them looking their best for the longest time possible.
Part of that safekeeping can involve restoration, the meticulous process of repairing paintings that have suffered paint loss, a weakened canvas, tears, water damage, or insect damage. The restorer's ultimate goal is to preserve the artist's original intent. In Kansas City, a mural by an artist whose work was mostly destroyed during the Spanish Civil War underwent what you could call a glow-up.
Reporter Zach Summers shows us the painstaking effort that went into conserving this piece of art history.
I have to say that they are in quite good conditions.
Inside the University of Missouri, Kansas City's Haig Hall is a set of murals so rare there are only 2 others in the world.
There are no much murals of Quintanilla.
Iñaki Garate Yamar is one of 2 specialists tasked with restoring the frescoes by legendary Spanish artist Luis Quintanilla.
We cannot paint over the original. We must be very respectful always with the mural painting, with the original. You have to be very respectful.
A political exile of the Spanish Civil War, Quintanilla was UMKC's first artist in residency, arriving in 1940 at the invitation of the school's president.
He had to flee Spain as a refugee after the Civil War. He got married, he had a son, and he needed a way to support his family through his art.
The wall paintings are a retelling of Don Quixote, a Spanish novel about a nobleman who, consumed by stories of chivalry, starts to believe he's an actual knight. Set in then modern-day America, Quintanilla used UMKC students, faculty, and staff as models.
We've gone in, we've learned who they were, and learned their biographies, and some of their stories are, just as amazing as the murals themselves.
His vision was to get the students immersed in these experiences.
Dr. Viviana Grieco with the school's history department says Quintanilla's murals were featured in the press at the time, but attention eventually faded. The frescoes were last restored 30 years ago.
The entire restoration takes 5 weeks.
The restoration team starts with a photographic assessment, including the use of UV lights to detect damage and stains. They then carefully clean the murals using distilled water and Japanese paper before gently painting the gaps.
The cleaning is what takes the longest time.
A tedious process, Garate Yamar says, is well worth the time and effort.
I think that you have a piece of Hispanic history here, and it's amazing, and I think that it's important.
The team finished the restoration in early August 2025. The university plans to add a kiosk near the painting so people can read about its history.
Up next, when life gives you lemons,
do you want some lemonade?
You build a lemonade empire. We reveal the inspiration motivating these besties to pour their heart and a little bit of hustle into every cup.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. It's free to download.
For many of us, a lemonade stand evokes memories of childhood and maybe our first source of income.
In South Carolina, 2 young entrepreneurs wrestled with the idea of a side hustle to kickstart a dream.
Reporter Lauren Korn shows us how their business inspires them to reach their goals.
Do you want some lemonade?
Whether it's freshly squeezed,
sometimes we do it homemade, or sometimes we do buy it one of the cans.
Lemonade pairs perfectly with summer, and these besties are capitalizing on it.
It's fun to be out here, and we like selling stuff, and it's given us something to do.
Donning lemon print aprons and friendly name tags.
You want lemonade?
Yeah. 10-year-old Savannah Camille and Evelyn Nichols are squeezing every drop of effort to keep their customers cool and refreshed.
Oh no.
Selling the tangy treat outside Savannah's home.
Want lemon in it?
On Blue Jacket Drive in Gallivants Ferry.
It feels really good, like that people actually stop here and help us get to our goal. Have a nice day.
Oh, thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
With every $1 cup of lemonade sold,
there you are. Have a nice day.
The duo is turning their pocket change into profit. launching Savannah's big dreams.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to get workout supplies because whenever I get older, I want to go into the WWE. I want to help because lemonade, doing it one person, it's not that easy. So she asked me and I was like, yeah, why not?
Evelyn is not the only person pouring into her friend's passion.
I'm very proud of her.
Thank you, Ginka.
You're welcome, baby.
Fueled by lemons and love, Savannah's grandmother, Jennifer Parker, spent 3 days building their stand from scratch and is beyond impressed that her granddaughter spends her extra time working for what she wants.
Here you go.
She's always been this little entrepreneur, you know, making bracelets, just all these little things to try to earn money. And I think it's wonderful. So, you know, I gotta help her out.
Ready?
L-E-M.
While they're still working on how to spell lemonade,
A-D-E.
Very good.
Go back to kindergarten.
The besties have already cashed in on skills that go beyond the classroom.
Always stay hydrated and be kind to customers. Savannah, we got one more cup. Okay.
And I just think it's wonderful.
Here.
I love it.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, you too. How do you spell lemonade?
Lemonade. Lemonade. Come buy some.
Do you want a lemon in it?
Great advice. Stay hydrated and be kind.
And I love, you know, hey, they're learning how to run a business and meeting people, and looks good.
Nothing like a good old-fashioned lemonade
In the
stand.
summer, it's always good. All right, that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, an innocent man dies in prison, and his family comes together to bring him justice.
The first thing that comes to your mind is, how can justice be so heartless, man? Not to stop and say, wait a minute, did this guy do it?
We show you the ways they're honoring his memory and how the real killer was found.